today. It is catching us running back and forth. Mr. Saunders, to the point you were just making, one of the things we've said repeatedly is we have to have an online privacy bill that is federally preemptive before we start down the AI path, because people want to be able to firewall their information and keep it out of the public domain. And last week, and Ms. Toner, I want to come to you on this, because Meta announced it was going to use public content and things from Facebook and Instagram in the UK, and they were going to use this to train their generative AI models. And Meta said their goal was to reflect, British culture, history, and idiom, and that UK companies and institutions will be able to utilize the latest technology. And I think we all know what that means. I'd love to hear what concerns you have over that announcement, and what limits should we place on companies like Meta that are using this data that is shared on their platforms to train their generative AI models.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn. My understanding of that announcement, which I should admit, have seen briefly but not dug into in depth, is that was actually a practice that Meta was already very much, going ahead with in the United States due to the lack of privacy protections here, right. And that the announcement last week was, I think they
need that privacy bill.
Indeed. I believe, and other witnesses may know better, I believe that they had held off on initiating that process in the UK due to privacy protections that do exist in the UK. So to me, this is actually an example of perhaps success on the UK's part if Meta felt the need to be a little more thoughtful, a little more deliberate, a little more selective about the ways in which they were using British users' data because of the legal protections that existed there, which, as you rightly point out, do not exist in the United States. I don't know if others want to add to that.
I'm happy to add on that. There was actually something on this same topic that really got a lot of attention at the beginning of the summer. A lot of users of Facebook and Instagram found that they could opt out of the process of having their public data used for training of AI systems, and then they posted instructions. I saw this on both TikTok and on LinkedIn. Users had posted instructions how to go to the part of your Facebook or Instagram settings where you can opt out of having your data used. I tried to do it in Facebook, I tried to do it in Instagram, and I couldn't find the button. And then I posted and said, I can't find the button in the comments there, and it turned out everyone with their IP address in the United States couldn't find the button, because this was a feature that I believe was only offered to people in the EU and perhaps in the UK. I heard different stories about which parts of the world. But this idea that we Americans are second-class citizens, that we don't even have the right to object, that Europeans or people in the UK have to object to our photos of ourselves, photos of our families, of our children being used to train AI systems, and at that AI systems that we don't even have confidence in how they work. We don't know if they will accidentally release personal information about us in the future, make images that look just like us. So I applaud you for raising this issue, and I'm excited to see bills like APRA make progress so that we have the foundations of a legal system that can address that issue.
Well, we think having an online privacy, federally preemptive privacy bill that gets signed into law is something that is going to be necessary. And as Senator Blumenthal said in his opening remarks, and I'm paraphrasing him now, but basically big tech has proven to us they are not going to take steps that are necessary to protect the information of people. I do want to ask you something else. When we're talking about AVs that act in the world without humans, and they're using AI, and that brings about the difference between intelligence and agency, between systems that think and systems that can act. So, Ms. Toner, let me come to you on this. When you look at this difference between intel and agency, do you see these as different concepts? Do they carry different threats? should these be approached separately, differently? Does this play into AGI? Tell me your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Senator. It's a good question. It's a timely question. We actually have a paper coming out introducing exactly this issue for policymakers in a couple of weeks. And what I would say is I think these ideas of agency or agents that can take actions autonomously is not at all separate. It is it's not the same thing as intelligence, but we are already seeing the ability of companies to take, language models, chatbots like ChatGPT and others, and, add a little bit of additional software, add a little bit of additional development time, and convert them into systems that can go out and take autonomous action. Right now, the state of these systems is pretty basic, but certainly talking to researchers and engineers in the space, they are very optimistic. They are very excited about the prospects of this category of system, and it's something that is very actively under development at, as far as I'm aware, all of the top AI companies, with the goal being, initially perhaps something like a personal assistant that could help you book a flight or schedule a meeting, but ultimately, Mustafa Suleyman, formerly at Google, now at Microsoft, has talked about, for example, could you have an AI that you give it, I forget the number, something like $100,000, and it comes back to you a little while later with $1 million that it's made because it's run some business or done something more sophisticated. At the limit, certainly this is very, very related to ideas around AGI and advanced AI more generally, sort of the founding idea or founding excitement of the field of AI, I think, for many people has been the idea of systems that can take very complicated actions, pursue very complicated goals in the real world. And I see a lot of, again, excitement in the field that we might be on the path in that direction.
Well, in Tennessee, with our healthcare industry, our logistics industry, our advanced manufacturing, we see great promise. With my entertainers and singers and songwriters and musicians and authors, we don't want this to become a way to steal their name, image, likeness, voice, and that's why we have the No Fakes Act. And I know Senator Klobuchar, who has joined me on that bill, talked with you all about that later. I've run way over, and you've been generous, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Blackburn.